What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Cracker Crumbs update. Yes, I've been making quite a few of these updates, but lately just had a lot to say and go over. And I actually got some questions, so I figured I'd address them on the video as well. And a couple things that I actually found out that boggled my mind, but a lot of fun. First, I want to go over and First, I'd like to say thanks to one of my new subscribers. I lost a subscriber and gained one, so I guess it kind of evens out. Let's see, Rick and Dave, Comic Book Hour, CBH. Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. Now, it's going to be a long video, so sit back and enjoy my lovely Vogue face. Yeah, I think I'm going to shave eventually. Now that I have power back, I can actually do it. Actually, that's not really true, because it was kind of growing my beard out when I didn't have power. But it gets annoying after a while. Well, for me, anyway. Anyway, we're rambling. I'm going to do a quick review, and then I'm going to go over some questions and some things that are quite amazing. And let's do that fast here. Let's, got a chance to read 2 more today. The final issue of the Fantastic Four, number 23. Which, it was cool, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I'm looking, I'm like, alright, wait a minute. I was like, there's 4 Fantastic Four, now there's 8 of them, and then there's 12 of them, and I'm like, alright, wait. And I figured out, obviously, this is Franklin Richards, the older version, and this is the younger version. I'm like, alright. But it was just a cool book. I mean, granted, like I said, I'm going to have to go back and issue and see maybe if I missed something or whatever. But it was just really, really interesting. Basically, young Franklin Richards has like a pocket universe in his closet that he makes, and he's able to make like all these adventures that he wants. And the older one goes with him and says, you know, let's go out, let's do all the adventures at once. And they have like a whole thing of like them doing different things, like seeing dinosaurs and vampire school teachers. It was pretty cool. I liked it. It was worth the money. Enjoyed it. Moving on to Justice League number 13, which I finally got a chance to read. This is interesting. I mean, it wasn't a bad book. I did enjoy it. I like the artwork. But I always find funny. This is gonna sound really, really messed up, but I know people that are watching that are comic book fans will probably agree. Back in the day, you know, way back in the day, when they had the comic code, you know, where they couldn't, you know, go over things or show certain things, like if somebody wound up naked for some strange reason, they would always have them from a different angle, and you know. But the thing I find funny, and probably everyone knows where I'm going with this, if you ever read the old Justice League books, or the old Wonder Woman, where they had the old cheetah, where it was basically a girl in a cheetah costume, you know, you're like, alright, that makes sense. The new one I like a lot more, but the funny thing is, with her, take a good look there. Like I said, this is going to sound really messed up, but I just find it funny. With her and like with Tigra from Avengers and stuff like that, she's not wearing a suit. That's her. Like, that's her actual body. And yet she's butt-ass naked, and there's no, I guess, features would be the thing, which I find funny, because back in the day they would always have them, like, you know, you would turn a certain way and there'd be a branch going across and it would cover, you know. But this thing, she's flat out naked, running around, and there's just no anything. I just find it weird. I'm probably perverted like that, but what the hell. Now, moving on to something else I find funny. I was on Facebook and I was just messing around and I was talking to my friends, and I put up a thing that I have open auditions for my show. And it's funny because a lot of my family, my friends are like, what show? I'm like, really? Really? Because I was looking, I was like, that's why I don't have that. I mean, I have a hell of a lot of subscribers, but I was wondering why none of my family or friends subscribe to me, and I'm like, alright, that's maybe they just don't have the thing for it. But apparently, majority of them don't even know I have a show. I must not be marketing too well. Anyway, so hopefully that's fixed. Moving on. To Bad Zorro 7983. I think I remember the, I'm writing everything down because I'm losing it. He asked quite a large amount of questions, which I'm going to get into in a second. But one thing I want to say, I'm actually, like Tony Stark, I'm working on something big. I'm actually working on a new, totally kick-ass intro to the show. It's taken a lot of time, and I'm going over stuff and tweaking things, so hopefully that'll be around soon. I don't know when I'm going to unveil it, but it's still not done yet, so uh, who knows. And then I'm always changing it anyway, so it probably won't be the last of my intros. But working on it. Anyway, to the questions here, and which does go into a lot of what I was going to talk about anyway. Um, it says Loki Goblin 13. Thanks for the contest. I received your package. Amazing. You know, we got it over the hurricane. Very cool. Which is another weird thing because now I'm hearing. Before I get any questions, I'm sorry, dude. But now they're claiming we're going to get hit with another storm. Man, talk about getting battered. And they had on the news. I was watching. Don't really watch the news, but it kind of interested me that they're claiming like anyone that lives in my area and New York and stuff like that, they're telling people not to waste water. Like necessity only. Like if you're gonna turn your sink on, a couple seconds max. You know, don't flush your toilet if you're not dropping a deuce. Limit your showers to like a couple minutes because apparently there's a water shortage on top of a gas shortage. So great. And if we get hit with another storm, yeah, hell, I still have tons and tons of friends that don't have any power in there. They're like, dude, you have power? I'm like, yeah, like, we don't have power. I'm like, so I was talking to my fiance and we're thinking about letting people come over and charge their stuff up because they're all, everyone's going crazy. And, but moving on. Anyway, and you're welcome, Batsar7983, for the, you won it, so, there you go. But anyway, first question here, which he says, I don't want to be considered a racist, but I just had a question, I'm reading this as is, about certain characters in the Marvel Universe and DC. This is going to come off racist, but I'll ask anyway. What do you think about them changing the race of certain characters that have been established? I think I've gone over this once or twice, but it's actually a really good question. I'm kind of iffy with it. Like, Nick Fury, there's the perfect example. Nick Fury in the comics was always a white dude who looked kind of like Reed Richards, but with an eye patch. And that's the guy I grew up on, but never really a huge fan of Nick Fury. Back in the day, I was just like, all right, another white guy. Which is funny, because if you really look at it, no offense to Marvel DC, but they always kind of lean towards the white guy. But with me, like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword kind of thing, because the new Nick Fury, he was made in the Ultimate Universe, the black dude with the patch, and then, of course, he was made really famous in the Avengers movies with Samuel L. Jackson, which is cool. But for me, like, other things, like, look at Daredevil. In the Daredevil movie, Kingpin is a white guy in the comics, but he's Michael Clark Duncan in the movie, which was pretty cool. I loved it because he was more intimidating. But for me, like I said, it's weird, like, use the Kingpin, I'm gonna ramble, but it's gonna have a point. The Kingpin in the comics is still white, so even though he was black in the Daredevil movie, he's still a white guy in the comics. Whereas Nick Fury suddenly changed from white to black in the regular universe of Marvel rather than the Ultimate, because they had two separate ones. They had the Ultimate, which is the black dude, and then the regular, which was the white dude. And then the white dude suddenly disappeared in the regular, and now the black dude has taken over his spot, which I find insane. It's cool, and it's weird. Like I said, I'm not a racist or anything, but for me, I think a lot of it is they're trying to, like, I guess, please everybody in a roundabout sort of way, or a lot of things like where everyone's turning gay, like for shock value, or again to please everybody in a certain way. Me, I think if they're gonna do it, like make a character, like what they did with Spider-Man, different nationality. If you're gonna do a character a different color, then just make a new character with that race or whatever. Like, it's kind of stupid to have. I'm saying, like, in the old continuity, like what they're doing now, like I said, like Nick Fury became a black dude out of nowhere. I guess you can kind of do it if you're restarting all the series. You might as well. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like, this guy's now this color, or this guy's now this race, or this guy's now an alien, or whatever the hell you want to do. I guess it would make sense. But for us old timers, we're looking at it as like Nick Fury's always been a white dude, and Spider-Man's always been a white dude, and this guy's always been this color, and that guy's always been that color. So it's kind of weird. Like, I kind of don't mind it, but then at the same time I'm kind of like, oh man, again, really? Now this guy's this guy? I know it sounds really messed up, and I guess it's a weird way of answering the question. So also, like with Nova. Yeah, Nova, I like the old Nova. I thought he was cool. And the new Nova just sucks. I'm just like, ugh, I'm not. I don't know. But anyway. Yes. Yeah, my chicken scratch. uh, Loki, I was watching some of your old videos, and how come you don't do many reviews on stuff anymore, like comics and shows and movies? What happened? And also, how come you don't review video games or music? Um, yeah, good call. Lately, yes, I haven't been doing many reviews. I've been slacking. I really have. I'm not gonna lie. I can't put that in there. I've been just flat out slacking on things. Like I'll read stuff and totally forgot that I read it, and then I'm like, all right, crap. Or I'd watch a show, and I got so much stuff on my mind lately. I'm just like, oh yeah. Or 2 weeks will pass. I'm like, oh yeah, did you see Arrow? Did you see Oh yeah, and duh. So I'm gonna make up with that right now. I'm gonna go over some stuff. For instance, I've been proven wrong so far. Arrow, I was saying, I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be good. But it's actually pretty cool. I'm quite enjoying it. I watch every week, and I think it's just cool. It's just funny how they're making him a lot like Batman, because the CW was claiming, because they originally had a Batman pilot. Well, actually, it wasn't really Batman. I think it was Robin. And it was funny because they had a fan film made called Grayson, which was pretty cool, where it shows like where Batman dies, and Dick Grayson kind of is already moved on from crime fighting and gets back into it, which is a pretty cool fan trailer kind of thing. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's called Grayson. And apparently the CW was going to make a show called Grayson, because people were saying like on Smallville, they're like, oh, what happened? How come you never had Batman? You never had Wonder Woman? You never had this? You never had that? And Arrow is basically, people don't grasp, is actually a spin-off from Smallville, or at least it technically is. But in Arrow, it's funny because he does a lot of stuff Batman like he sneaks around in the shadows and does detective work and stuff like that. But CW's thing was, oh, we're not going to make a Batman thing because it would be boring and nobody would ever like the detective thing like that. I think it would have been cool, or at least maybe have a cameo by like Bruce Wayne or something in this show. Because they've already showed Deadshot, and apparently Deathstroke's coming up, so it's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying it. So I've been proven wrong on that. As for The Walking Dead, there's another big one, which is funny because I actually had an argument with my fiance. Well, not argument, it's more like heated debate, I guess would be the thing. The last episode where they were obviously in the prison when they had Rick and stuff like that, and they're trying to clear a path for the prisoners to have their own section. And then the one prisoner, kind of goes after Rick and throws a zombie his way, and then Rick kind of snaps and hits him in the head with the machete. Very, very cool, very violent, and it's just cool to see like that kind of like such a switch, like in that kind of a world, like how you kind of go. If you watch the first season of Walking Dead, and Rick was always like, we don't kill the living, we only kill this thing, we don't kill the living, and now it's just like, you suck, bam, right in the head with a machete. So it's kind of cool to see that kind of like a switch. As for the newer episode with Michonne, with the samurai sword, this is where we had the heated debate, which is kind of funny. It's not funny, but let's get into it. She's walking around with two zombies trailing behind her on chains with no arms and no lower jaw or teeth or whatever it is. Took that all out, which is kind of smart in a way, because one, it's good camouflage if you can do it, and two, you have pack mules right there. They don't get tired. They don't sleep. They can carry more stuff than what you can carry. So it's interesting. Now, the funny thing is, especially if you watch the episode where they start getting like not emotional, but like in an uproar, and she cuts their head, in half or whatever it is. Before that, my friend was like, oh, that's stupid because or I'm sorry. She's like, that was easy to do. You cut your arms off and the face off. It's very easy. And I told her, I was like, seriously, dear, I was like, let's think about this. You have a samurai sword. Okay, if you have a real samurai sword like she does, they're very, very sharp. Very sharp. They can cut bricks in half, and which bone is a bitch to cut, but a sword like that can cut bone pretty easily if you're good at it, if you're skilled. Now, I told her, I was like, think about this. I was like, zombie or not, we'll use the zombies as the example anyway. If they're coming at you, cutting their arms off for one thing, that's it's a given. That's an easy thing. But cutting this off without taking this off is friggin' hard. You have to be really skilled to do that. And even when they were getting restless and they were getting, moving, and she cuts them, like a clean thing, two heads, one shot. That's not easy. That's very, very difficult. Because I was telling her, I was like, that's impressive. She's like, oh, it's easy. I'm like, it really isn't. It really, really isn't, especially if they're moving. But that was just another awesome episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next one this Sunday, so that'd be pretty cool. Um, let's see, bear with me. I'm trying to read what the hell I got here. Yes, Ultimate Spider-Man. There's an interesting thing. I love that show. I think it's really, really cool. I enjoy it. Um, and it's funny, like with characters they're doing in that. Like last week's, they finally introduced the Green Goblin, but they made him the ultimate Green Goblin. Where he did like throws fireballs or whatever. But it's funny because in the show, they kind of crossed him. Like they made him look like the ultimate Green Goblin, but he had the glider of the original Green Goblin, and he was throwing bombs and crap like that. So that was pretty cool. I love the Green Goblin. Love him. And I also find it funny that Venom is Harry Osborn, which right there, it's just interesting in general. Like if you look at it, in the comics, Harry Osborn follows his father's footsteps, becomes a Green Goblin. In the Ultimate Universe, in the comics, he becomes the Hobgoblin. But in this one, the cartoon, he becomes Venom. So it's pretty cool. Can't wait to see what happens in the next one. Which brings me into another thing that's funny with Arrow. With the other Archer that's on the island, if you watch it, it's actually, I was looking at him, like I'm reading the intro, and it says Byron Man. I'm like, why does that sound so familiar? I'm looking, it's friggin' Ryu from Street Fighter. That's cool. It's nice to see him back and working. But anyway, it leads into Curse of Man. I was watching his video, and the recent one, I know he's sad that Thor is pretty much done. But Thor, they're never gone. They always come back around. They always have a new comic or something like that, so don't feel too bad. And you were talking about the Ninja Turtles. Does anybody watch the new Turtles? I think the new show was actually pretty cool. I like the old one, the original one from the 80s. I thought that was awesome, when I was a kid. But it's funny because when you watch that now, you're kind of like, huh, yeah. I did get pissed though when they had the old ones in the 80s when Michelangelo started using a grapple hook instead of his nunchucks. I was like, really? But anyway, and then the one that came out in 2000, I thought was awesome. That was like just unbelievably cool. My favorite episode on that was when Leonardo was fighting all of Shredder's army, like in the rain by himself. Very, very cool episode. Which brings me into the new episode stuff, which is kind of cool because it melds the old with the new. So it has the old kind of stuff, like the old intros, with like a new intro with the old intro kind of combined, and their original origins. Because a lot of people, like my couple of my cousins that watch it, oh no, that's not right, because they watch the movie, the Ninja Turtles movie, and they're like, oh no, Splinter isn't a man. He was the pet rat, and which isn't true. It was in the movie they made it, yeah. And then in the new cartoon, the 2000 cartoon, they made it like that with that origin. But in the old cartoon and the old comics, he actually is Hamato Yoshi, who is a ninjutsu master, and then he becomes a rat. We have hanging out with rats in the sewer of New York or something like that. And they did it that way, so they kind of brought the old origins, which is cool. So very, very cool. So Curse of Man, I am watching the show, and I quite enjoy it. I think it's cool. I hope it sticks around, because I was watching when they had the new Thundercats and new Voltron, and that kind of went south real quick. I was quite enjoying the Voltron one. It was interesting because it was the old characters and new characters. I like how they did that. It was very, very cool. The new Thundercats was kind of iffy. Like, I kind of liked it, but then I was kind of like, moving on. Sorry about that. Everything kind of flickered for a second there. I thought I was going to lose my power again. I'm like, oh god, not again. But anyway, moving on to some other stuff. Why I don't review video games and music. Originally, when I was making the show, I was going to review everything. And I kind of went into games a little bit, but I really haven't got many games since I think the last game I got was WWE 12 and Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3, and I think like Zelda Skyward Sword for the Wii. Those are like the last ones I ever got. Like I haven't bought any games since, really. Not that I don't play them, it's just that they're lately there's just more stuff that I'm kind of getting into more than the video games. I mean, when I was a kid, forget about it. It was comics and video games. That was it, just nonstop. And But I will. I'll probably do reviews of games. I think I did one with the Shattered Dimension Spider-Man. I did a review on that. But you're right. Should go into that. And music is music. It's kind of tough to review music. But who knows? Who knows? Moving on to, I believe this is your last question. If I wrote everything down the right way. Yes, it did. The right way. Um, I was watching your episode 60 that looked like a really cool party. Um, do you have any other Halloween stories or movies to show us? No, I don't, but I do have a couple Halloween stories that, if you want to hear them, what the hell? Two, actually. Two. I have, one of them, when I was living in Lindenhurst, uh, on a Halloween, it was kind of messed up, kind of funny in a way. Um, what I did was, I got a regular, with those lawn chairs, not the ones that you lay down on, but just regular, like, lawn-looking chair, and I put on gloves. I put on not a not just a sweatshirt, but like a regular, shirt, like a flannel shirt kind of thing. Put that on there, and I put pieces of newspaper sticking out of my shoes. I had newspaper sticking out of my sleeves. I had it sticking out of my neck, and I put on a mask. I forget what the hell mask it was. I think it was like a wolf or something, and I had like straw coming out of the eyes, so you couldn't like really see it or anything. And I looked fake, and basically I sat in the chair, and my hand, I took one hand out of the glove, but the glove was kind of wrapped with the candy. So the glove was wrapped around like a little pumpkin filled with candy for people, and it says take one, or if you take more than one, you'll be sorry, or whatever it was. And I didn't move. Like I sat there, and kids would come up and they would take one. They would look and try to see inside and if I was real or not. And you couldn't even tell I was breathing because I had so many layers and all this, paper sticking out. So I really looked fake. And that's patience right there. And when one kid came up and he's like, "Ah, it's fake," and he's like flicking the nose, and the second he grabbed more than one candy, I was like, and the kid just fucking flipped out. He flew backwards so fast, and like I thought he was dead because he rolled up. He's like, I was like, yeah, yeah, and I went up to him and I flicked his nose on his mask. I'm like, you like that, buddy? You like that? The kid was so scared. I thought he shit himself. Yeah, that was one thing. And another one that I did was when I was living in Hicksville, which is insane. I really went to the extreme on this one. Well, my grandmother was alive when we first moved to Hicksville into her house because everyone knows the story by now. But I told her, I was like, can we do one like really kick-ass Halloween? Because my grandmother used to love Halloween. She used to love watching the kids come up and she'd give them candy. And she's like, yeah. So I called some of my friends. I said, this is what I want to do. Are you guys interested? And my one friend, she's very, very good with artwork and makeup and all this stuff, and like we're kind of good together when we can come up with ideas. And I said, this is what I want to do. I was like, is it doable? And she's like, yeah, no problem. So there was 7 or 8 of us, and we dug holes. My grandmother was kind of pissed, but when I told her we were gonna fix it and make everything back to normal, she was like, all right, you can do it. Basically, here's the sidewalk, and then there was a walkway that went up to the front door. On either side of the walkway, we dug holes for graves, basically. So we dug it where, we could stand in it. Well, not stand, but like crouch. It wasn't that deep. We didn't go too deep. But you could still see out. And we made the graves, the headstones, and my friend brought a fog machine, which was kind of cool because the day of the Halloween, usually like you have rain or something like that, but they actually had real fog coming in because it just rained in the morning and it was getting hot, so like the fog came in, and we put the fog machine on as well, so it was like a lot of fog around the graves in the front of the house, so it was really cool. So you really couldn't see what was going on, and the graves we covered over, like when we're inside, we covered over with leaves and a little bit of dirt here and there, like certain spots, because like it was only we made it so, like I said, like we could crouch, and then everything else was just regular dirt. We dug little holes so we could stick our hand up and like if we wanted to and stuff like that to really mess with people. And we dressed up as zombies. All my friends. It was let's see, there was 1, 2, Yeah, there was four graves on each side of the walkway, and we all dressed up like zombies. And my friend, we all did the makeup, and we looked pretty sick. I wish I had photos, but my one friend, I don't know how she did it, but it was really cool. She made it look like her jaw was like half her jaw was gone, and it was just really creepy. And it was insane. And these kids were coming up, and my grandmother was giving them candy, and like we'd let a certain amount go, and we wouldn't do anything, and then um, uh, we would like make like a noise. I forget what it was. Like, we'd say something when we were getting ready to do something to somebody. And this one group of teenagers looked like little punks. Were coming up like. And my grandmother always hated when people didn't dress up for Halloween. They just kind of went as is with like a laundry bag and fill up the candy. And they're coming up, and we said to them, and my grandmother knew about it because we were telling her like, this is the one we're gonna go after them. And they weren't really disrespectful, but they were just kind of like my grandma was like, oh, you got to be careful nowadays. You never know what's around the corner. And they're like, ah, nothing scares us. We have eggs and all this crap. And we started doing like the moans were like, ugh. And this, what was that? Like, because when you look at it, when you're coming up the walkway, you couldn't tell anything was there. You just saw the graves. You didn't know anything. It didn't look real. And they turn around, and my friend comes up with his hand. He's got his hand like he's coming up, and he's got half of his face is like rotted out, and he's like, and the guy's like, it ain't real, and like he's coming out of the thing like, oh my god, and he's like all like kind of like, and he's like making, I don't know how he did it, but he used to be able to like crack his neck and went out, and he's like turning, and I'm like, oh my god, and then my other friend would come out, and we all came out, we're like, and the kids. My grandmother closed the door and locked it, so they're like going like this to the door, trying to get in. Like, let us in, because we were scared the hell out of these kids, and we're going real slow. And then like the second we got to them, we go trick or treat, and he's like, oh my god, you bastard, you. But yeah, it was some good stories. We're pretty sick. My friends and my family are pretty sick when it comes to holidays. But yeah, that was about it. Pretty long update, I guess. And I believe I answered all your questions. Let's see here. Yep, all of them were answered. And I did a little bit of review. So, now that that's all done, I'm actually going to cut it right here because I'm going to start charging my stuff. Because if we're going to get hit with this extra storm like they're claiming, we're going to lose power again. I might as well get everything charged as I can. And my fiance's flipping out. She's like, because the food stores here, they're pretty much out of everything. We stocked up on batteries like a couple weeks ago. And candles and stuff like that, but there's just like nothing open. Banks aren't open. Gas stations around by me are pretty much out of gas. So it's the end of the world. The apocalypse came early, all because Snooki had her baby. That's what it really is. But so the one thing that does suck is because my fiance and I, we can't use our bank because it's all closed and stuff like that, and we can't even use the damn credit card because apparently that's not working either. And a lot of the stores that do have stuff, they're taking cash only because their computer stuff is down, which kind of makes you wish for the old days where they had the crank register. We're down to like I think like $40 or $50, something like that. So I guess my comics are gonna have to wait. Have to wait and see what happens. So I don't know when I'm gonna have a thing with new stuff, but anyway, thanks everyone for watching. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe. And if I'm still alive, perhaps I'll make another update or a video or whatever. See what happens. I'm charging my camera right now, so if I am without power, at least I can... maybe I'll make a dark video. I don't know. Anyway, catch you all later.